So we all know what is happening in the left video right now, because every one of you knows this is the Mars planet and this is the Ingenuity rover, which is the first rover which was able to achieve flight on Mars. Okay. Once the flight was achieved in Mars in 2021, we actually saw that this is on the right side, the video from 1903, where the Wright brothers pulled out the first flight on Earth. So both of them had the common feature of flight, and we wanted to find out how is this flight possible. It was because of this lift. Okay, lift was a force that overcomes the weight of the aircraft, and then sometimes any payload, anything extra that is added on the aircraft. In this scenario, what is happening is the Boeing 747 is able to carry the space shuttle above it. So how is it able to carry this? It is because of a force that overcomes its own weight. It has two basic theories involved. Taken as we have skipped the chapter of the theories which were involved in subsonic airflow. That is the simple reason, because the theories are involved in this chapter, not before this. Now I've already explained what is basic aerodynamic theory. It's also known as the principle of continuity. If you see, this woman is pulling out the water or just applying the water to some plants, let's say anything, could be fossil, anything she could be putting here, some water. Now, when she's doing this gardening thing, if I ask this woman to put some water little later than usual, or if she wants to increase the area of the water being supplied, what will she do? Simply put a finger or a thumb onto the pipe. And what is she doing? She's doing that to reduce the cross-sectional area. Now, if you see, area and velocity are very, very similar. Okay. If you reduce the area, we see that the velocity increases and vice versa. So I can say they are indirectly proportional. एक बढ़ेगा तो दूसरा घटेगा. Now when we say that, we can find it out and make it equation. Rho becomes the constant and AV is equals to, okay, we need a variable, so we do that. That is why we introduce something rho. Rho already you guys know, rho is density. Okay. So this became constant, and this is the first theorem which you'll find helpful in defining how the lift is generated. In simple terms, this is the equation of continuity. All right. We saw with an example also. This is a realistic example. You can see what is happening. When I reduce my area of cross section, I am accelerating the velocity, or I'm accelerating the airflow. And that is the basics behind principle of continuity. Then we did an example and we saw that when we actually apply this theory, which is AV is equal to constant, or simply A1 V1 is equal to A2 V2. When we apply this theory, we can actually find the results. When we reduce the area of cross section by 2, the velocity increases by 2. And we saw the answer being 200 knots. Then again, if I increase my area of cross section by 2, my velocity reduced. And hence we get that it reduced to 2. And that is how we proved that this theory is correct. Then we looked into the most important theory in the aerodynamics, known as Bernoulli's theorem. Okay, Bernoulli's theorem simply states that in an ideal fluid, okay, in an incompressible ideal fluid, what happens is both my pressure and my kinetic energy always remain constant. That means एक बढ़ेगा तो दूसरा घटेगा. If my pressure increases, this will mean that my kinetic energy will reduce. Kinetic energy, the formula is half rho v square. So what can reduce in half rho v square? The density? Of course not, because we've just said that we are in a steady ideal fluid. So what are we left with? We are left with the velocity. Correct. So we're left with the velocity, and this will help us defining the lift. We did an example. The ball was rolling and the water, because the water has so much of kinetic energy in this example, the water is transferring its kinetic energy to the ball in the means of potential energy or pressure in this terms. We'll apply this into the aircraft. Okay. So you can see, okay, if any doubts are still there, you can see that all these aerofoils one by one put together form something called the wing. Okay, so we'll do the opposite. We'll destroy this wing, we'll cut out this wing, and we will get something known as aerofoil. Okay, now we got the aerofoil. We'll zoom into the aerofoil and see how the particles are moving. No need to make you realize because you already know what has been going in this. Okay, one of the particles will go up, the second goes down. And now we have clearly see that the above part, or also known as the upper surface, the upper surface of the airfoil has more distance. The below surface has less distance. The same example of my hand, if I join my hands, okay, both of the distance are equal. Of course, that is nature. But if I bend my left hand, you can see that my left hand, the distance is still the same, but my bottom one has less distance. The same example. So we already know speed is equal to distance divided by time. Okay. So if my distance is more, the speed will be more. Why? Because the points meeting at the same point, time becomes constant. Of course, you all have gone to the demo class, so you know what is going to be wrong here. But then speed is less, speed will be here. And I just told you by Bernoulli's theorem, we have something. If my velocity will reduce, then the pressure has to increase. So my velocity has reduced, so my pressure will increase here, the pressure will drop here, and I will have a force like this, which is lift. Okay, now this will overcome the weight because it is acting against the gravity or against my weight. Okay, the thing which is wrong here, it is simply that the time cannot remain constant like this. Okay, how can you allow airflow that no, you have to reach at the same point at the same time? Why? It's not natural, right? So we will see why. In reality, what is happening is both of the airflow or the air particles have full freedom to go. Okay, because there are less particles present above and more below. The particles which are traveling above are having a really high velocity. Secondly, after some time, they just have to use the gravity itself to go down because it's a little bent. Okay, so both of the things add up, and hence the velocity above the surface increases, below the surface reduces. And again, we have the Bernoulli's theorem. If my velocity increases, pressure will has to reduce. So pressure reduces, pressure increases. Okay. Now we have the surface. You can see here also we have we have high pressure here, low pressure here. And in our nature and our atmosphere, we have this force called pressure gradient force, which you learned in your meteorology classes. Pressure gradient force always acts from high pressure area to low pressure area. This is how we get a force called lift. Okay. The factors involved in the formula for lift. We just understood the theoretical part. We want to find the formula also. Why? Because that is a real application of itself. Now, when we are forming the formula, we have three different factors we look into it. The first factor is known as dynamic pressure. Dynamic pressure is just as your kinetic energy. How is the kinetic energy produced? When I'm running, I am able to produce some kinetic energy. The same thing is for the aircraft. When the aircraft is moving, it will have the particles hitting it. When the particles hit it, that is when we will have something called kinetic energy. So that is why the velocity of the airstream and the air density are involved, giving us a formula half rho v square. This is just one of the first factors of lift. Okay. Second factor is my CL. Now most people will know what is CL, right? CL is the aerodynamic coefficient, aerodynamic force coefficient. And in terms of lift, it will be known as lift coefficient. So as this lift coefficient is dependent on what? It is dependent on center of pressure. That is why it is known as pressure distribution. All right. You can see it is directly dependent on the angle of attack. This is also you know right now. Okay. The wind flows. This is the relative flow. Okay. The relative airflow goes. And suppose that if I pitch up for takeoff, my angle of attack increases. When my angle of attack increases, the center of pressure also moves. So the CL will change. And whenever the CL changes, the lift will also change. That is why we have to include CL into our formula also. Then we have surface area. Surface area is simple. What is the part of the wing which is creating lift? It's the wings. Okay, what is the part of the aircraft which is producing lift? It is the wings. All right. So if something present on the wing, suppose snow, dirt, that will affect the lift qualities. So it is the condition of the surface, and this compressibility effect, which we'll study in the chapter high speed flight. Okay, so all in all, we have a formula: lift is equal to half rho v square CL into S. Put together, theoretically, this is the formula. Lift is a force balancing the weight. That is equal to half rho v square. What is half rho v square? That is the dynamic pressure. Now remember, in the first chapter, I told you dynamic pressure is IAS, or your indicated airspeed. But your velocity here is the TAS. And that is how the questions in DGC will be asked. Okay. All in all, CL is your angle of attack, depends on the angle of attack. And S is the fixed wing weight. Then we said solve this question. Okay. So everyone knows the answer already, right? When we are climbing up the altitude, one thing which is dropping is the density. Because the density is dropping and we have the formula half rho v square CLS. What options do we have? Only option we are having is, let's exclude the options we are having first. We cannot go physically and increase the surface area of the wing. Check. CL, why will you increase the angle of attack more when you are already climbing? Check. Density is the portion which is decreasing or decreasing. So we can't increase that. We are left with only one option, which is velocity. That is how you eliminate the options in the exams also. Velocity is the answer. All right. One thing you can clearly see from this example is that velocity, whatever you put inside that velocity, it is squared. Okay. So if you want to increase the lift, let's say you want to increase the lift 4 times, how will you do that? Simply increase the velocity by 2 times. You'll get the answer. All right. Sure. Now let's come to the part.
Yes.
Lift curve. Now we already know what is something called stall. After we exceed a particular amount, lifting capacity goes down because of many things. Adverse pressure gradient. Okay. Then we have the boundary layer going not streamlined, it's going turbulent. All these things add up and our lifting capacity goes to nil. And we have something called stall. Okay. So we'll term this with the CL. What is CL? You can see here. Okay. CL is the lift coefficient. It increases with the angle of attack. Maximum goes to CL max. So please remember CL max from now onwards. We'll be using this word. If you have any confusion, ask me right now. Which corresponds to the critical angle of attack. The critical angle of attack, or CL max, is the point after which the stall will occur. Okay, it's the CL max is the point where you will have the maximum coefficient of lift. Then the minimum dynamic pressure is determined by the maximum lifting coefficient, right? If we having the lift formula half rho square CL into S, if I have this maximum and my lift is constant, okay, lift is constant because you see this is a level flight, okay? So lift is constant. So what am I changing? I'm just changing my CL. But if I keep on increasing the CL, one thing has to reduce. That is my velocity. Do you get now why the stall is happening and why the airspeed goes low? Because lift formula is half rho v square CLS. If I maintain my altitude or I'm trying to gain my altitude, okay, CL is the factor I'm increasing. But what am I reducing? I am reducing my velocity. Okay, that is the reason actually everything happens. So we have a graph here, and now you can see what is the reality between the different aircrafts, and why do we have thickness of the wing? Why do we have thick wings? Why do we have symmetrical airfoil? Okay, you can see here, this is the graph of the symmetrical airfoil with a thickness of 6%. This graph is angle of attack versus my CL. Okay, these are the two factors. So with my angle of attack, how much the CL increases. So you can see in this graph, simple, okay, With a symmetrical airfoil, these are two symmetrical airfoils, black and red. With just increasing my thickness, I am getting more amount of CL. Okay. Of course, we all know that with cambered aircrafts or cambered wings, which are asymmetrical wings, we already have a lot of CL. So with comparison with symmetrical and asymmetrical, we have better lifting capacities in the asymmetrical type. So an increase in thickness of a symmetrical airfoil gives higher CL max. Okay. Introduction of camber also has a beneficial effect on CL max, and the greater the CL max, okay, the lower the minimum flight speed. You already understood this. Okay. Right. Any confusion up till now? CL max, flight speeds.
No, sir.
Okay. Sonak, Rupesh.
Yes, sir.
What happened?
Sir, sir, in this second point, the CL max, the lower the greater the CL max, the lower the minimum flight speed.
Flight stall
Sir,
speed.
okay. So, means suppose we have adverse pressure gradient. So, how the CL max is related to stall speed? Sir?
Pressure gradient. How pressure gradient has come here? We are talking about,
Sir,
see,
because
adverse pressure gradient exists after the CL max. Okay. If adverse pressure gradient is there, then that means we are already in the stage of stall. Okay. तो ये चीज आप क्लियर कीजिए पहले. Then we have lift is equal to half rho v square CLS. When we keep on increasing this, velocity keeps on reducing. Now, if my lift is constant, okay, I'll write lift constant. That means that if my wing is designed very perfectly, okay, this will be constant throughout. जब ये constant, when this constant goes, okay, lift starts to reduce, then is when our stall will occur. Okay, it's not when velocity and CL are playing with each other and they are increasing, reducing, lift remains constant. We don't care. But when we reach a limit, when the CL is crossed, and the velocity is so low that the lift also starts to go down. That is when the stall is occurring. Okay. तो यहाँ पर minimum कौन decide कर रहा है? Who is deciding the minimum velocity? The CL. The higher the CL, the lower you can fly. Okay.
And sir, one more question. Sir, CL would CL higher the CL, lower the stall speed. But weight of this aircraft is also there. So it also for the weight of the aircraft, the speed also varies.
Of course, it will. Yeah.
So how can we say, because if in a 747 the stalling speed should be greater than the A320. So,
Hi, so
in that,
we are not discussing stall in this chapter. We're discussing lift. Okay, we are discussing how lift CL will affect the lift. Stall is a different chapter. Stall does not have only one. You just saying wait. We have 9 different things which affect the stall speed. We'll discuss that. Okay.
okay,
Anything else?
no sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
The formula is, I can just tell you right now. 1 by, so we have this V stall new is equal to V stall old into, we have formula is the new weight divided by old weight. Okay. So if in this equation you can put it. This is the weights of the aircrafts. Okay. This is the new one, this is the old one. In simple terms, if you want the formula, VSN, VSO, a new weight divided by old weight. Put this, you will find the answer. But this is a chapter stall, which we're not discussing right now. All right. Let's come to density altitude. Now, density altitude is very simple. In one line, I can tell you, okay, it's the altitude which you really are at. What is it? You have an ISA table. Okay. In that ISA table, what we have is all the values are given. All the values with respect to altitude and my pressure or my density, let's say. Okay. So we have altitude versus my density. Now follow me up. At 0 feet, what is the density? Does someone remember?
So 1.225 gram per meter.
Very good. 1,225 gram per meter cube or 1.225 gram per meter cube, kilogram per unit. Okay, so 1,225 gram per meter cube. This is the density it should be. And with our altitude, let's say 10,000 feet, the density will of course drop. Let's say it becomes 1 gram per meter cube. So it keeps on dropping at 40,000 feet. Then we again have some. Okay. Now what I'm trying to explain is, suppose we are at Leh airport. Okay. Leh airport, it is already at 10,000 feet. Let's say this is the altitude. This is the MSL above. Okay. If it's at 10,000 feet already, and today what happens is we have a very hot air. Okay, we're having a really, really hot air outside. When we're having hot air outside, that means the density will reduce. Okay, the density has reduced. When the density has reduced, can you expect the aircraft to perform the same as before? No, right? Because the density reduces, the oxygen reduces, or simply terms, performance will reduce. Now, that is the reason density auto is very important. Now, when the density has reduced, it will reduce to some level, correct? Let's go back. At 10,000 feet, we have is 1 gram per meter cube. That is the density according to ISA. But today the density is less. So let's say the density dropped to 0.7 gram per meter cube. So we will check this today's density in our table. In our table, we see that at 20,000 feet, it is given 0.75 gram per meter cube. And we will say that for today, the density altitude is 20,000 feet. Okay, the altitude is 10,000 feet, but the density altitude is 20,000 feet. So density altitude is the altitude which corresponds to the density of that place in your ISA table. On the right side, you can also see one more example. If you still have a confusion, this guy is standing on 0 feet. Elevation of this person is 0 feet. He's standing on the ground, but you can see the density today where he's standing, it is less. It corresponds to somewhere around 3,000 feet, and that is the reason that density altitude is 3,000. Any confusion in this? Good. All right. If you don't have confusion, and if you still have confusion, we have the book. So you can read this statement in the book also. It's the same thing. Okay. Density altitude, the altitude at which the density at a particular point while in air is equal to the specified density in the ISA table. Okay. Same thing for pressure altitude. Pressure altitude in terms of 1013 hectopascal. Okay. On an airfield at a sea level with standard pressure 1013 hectopascal set on the window will cause the altimeter to reach 0. So in your altimeter, if you have set 1013 hectopascal, that means what you are reading, what altitude you are reading is known as pressure altitude. Okay. And just for your sake, I have written this line also. Low density altitude means low altitude. Do you understand this? No? I have this written. I'll write it. Basically, if in question it is written low density altitude, what is in reality? In reality, you just need to cross this. You will find the answer. In reality, it is low altitude. Okay. All right. Let's come to lift by drag ratio. In order to understand lift by drag ratio, you need to know one thing clearly. What is that? What is drag? We not describe drag, so you need to know what is drag also. Drag is same as lift, just that it acts opposite to the thrust. Suppose that my aircraft, okay, I'm moving in this direction, my drag will act opposite. This is my drag. Okay, the drag has the same formula as lift, except the lift coefficient is replaced by drag coefficient. Okay, same formula, just that the lift has been changed to drag coefficient. Okay, why we need to discuss this? Because we will discussing L by D ratio, and that is very important for the aerodynamic efficiency. L by D ratio increases with the angle of attack up to the maximum level of 4 degrees. So at your 4-degree angle of attack, you will have L by D max. Okay, and this is also known as optimum angle of attack. This is the reason. The speed at which L by D max takes place is known as minimum drag speed. And this is the reason why L by D max exists at 4 degrees. After this point, your drag will shoot up. And when the drag shoots up, the L by D max will reduce. So this is known as minimum drag speed. And why is it known as maximum glide speed, glide range speed? Because if you know what is glide, then very good. Otherwise, glide is the position in which the aircraft loses its engine. When both engines are lost, you are doing what? You're just simply gliding the aircraft. When you're gliding the aircraft, the lower the drag, the faster you'll go, or the more distance you'll go. That is why L by D ratio is very important, and L by D max is the most important part. L by D max occurs at 4-degree angle of attack, and their speeds are these. This means that a Boeing 737 and a Boeing 747 would both glide the same distance, okay, at the correct angle of attack. But the Boeing 747, because it has a lot of weight, it will descend faster. So it will have a higher rate of descent, but both of them will land at the same point. Okay, so the distance will be same, but the time will be different. Okay, the Boeing 747, because it's heavy, it will land faster. And why is this? Because weight does not have any effect on by L by D ratio. You need to consider that fact. Weight does not have any effect. So what effect does have? It has only the effect of angle of attack. Why? Because if I have both the formulas and if I divide both the formulas, I am left with simply one thing that is different. If you see CL by CD, and both of them are dependent on angle of attack. You understand this?
Yes.
All right. After 4 degree, L by D ratio decreases with increase in angle of attack until the CL max is reached. What happens after CL max? After CL max, stall will occur and L by D ratio will drop. Okay. I mean, it's not drop, it will just completely be destroyed. I'll say. Okay, you can see L by D ratio here as well. Lift is this force, drag is the force which is acting opposite to the thrust. Lift, balance your weight. All these are put together in this beautiful picture. Okay, I've also done the math here. You can see we have crossed everything except for CL by CD, and both are dependent on your angle of attack. L by D ratio is the measure of the efficiency, aerodynamic efficiency. And I remember telling you something else. Aspect ratio is also the measure of aerodynamic efficiency. And these are the keywords you have to highlight in your notes. I've already underlined it for because they have consistently come all the times in the DGC exams. So for example, L by D ratio is 20:1. For every 1 kilometer drop in height will result a 20-kilometer lateral distance. Okay, so that basically means if my L by D ratio is 20:1, that will mean that I will cover, if gliding, I will cover 20 kilometers to 1 kilometer of drop. Okay, that is the L by D ratio. The ratio does not depend on weight, I've already told, and it also does not depend on density, humidity, temperature, altitude, headwind. It does not depend on anything. L by D ratio. The ratio only depends on the shape of the wing and the angle of attack. Even the shape of the wing is also cancelled, but because drag is dependent on the shape of the wing, that is why we have put it. Okay. So there is a comparison between my CL max, L by D ratio, and angle of attack. So angle of attack is on the x-axis. On the y-axis, I have L by D ratio. You can see with increase in angle of attack, my L by D ratio increases. Starting. See the blue line? It keeps on increasing until it reaches L by D max. After which, if I increase my angle of attack, it will continue to go. And how did I get my L by D max or L by D wala graph? How did I get? Just by plotting my CL and CD wala graph. If I plot those CD and CL graph, if I combine them together, I have something known as L by D graph. And that is how we create such things. Okay, and the graphs are the best methods to determine any concept. Okay, here also you can see the concept. The ratio only depends on these factors. With increase in angle of attack, the CL increases initially up to 60 degrees, then decreases. At any other angle than 4 degree, L by D ratio will decrease. Of course, after this, okay? After 4 degrees, I'm saying. Other angle, any other angle other than 4 degrees after. Okay? So we'll do a comparison of all the aircrafts, modern types. Modern jet aircraft has 12 to 20. Okay, you can see the L by D ratio is 12 to 20. Propeller ones, the training ones have a less one because of the piston engine. You'll understand the piston engines in the class. Then we have the seaplanes. Okay, seaplane are very aerodynamic. When they are very aerodynamic, they have a very good visuals. Why I have made this table? Again, it has been asked in the BBC exams. It's of no value to you right now, but it has been asked. Okay, so we'll just give you an example. Okay, now you understand that L by D ratio affects the glide angle, the glide range. Sorry. So we'll just consider the fact what's the difference between glide angle, glide distance, and F by D ratio. This particular slide is actually more sensible in the chapter glide or the flight mechanics, but I put it here just to make you simply understand what is happening in this. So I'll just put it here. I'll not explain much of it, but you can see that L by D ratio does not change with my tailwind and headwind. Okay, we'll focus on this only. Right now, let's not focus on this part. It's not important right now. What I have explained to you is L by D ratio. Weight also does not change. Flaps. Flaps, look at the angle of deflection. Angle of deflection is 40 degrees. If my angle of deflection is so high, I am adding drag. When I add drag, my L by D will go down. So L by D reduces. Flaps 10, this is used while taking off. This is used while landing. Okay. While taking off, we require a lot of lift, but not drag. But by landing, we require a lot of drag, but not lift. You can see here that is why in flaps to 10 degrees, we have L by D ratio increasing. Finally, slats and slots. Of course, slats and slots, the name itself is used, you know what? It's used for high lift devices. So they will, of course, increase the lift. 4 degree angle of attack, we are having after this is reduction. Okay, after 4 degree, we are having reduction. So, do we have any doubts up till now?
No, sir.